Okay, so welcome everybody to this little chat that I'm having with Lucy Hunter. So big welcome to you, Lucy. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining me today to talk about the flowers and the trees and how they've changed your life. So first of all, can you tell everybody a little bit about you?
Yes, so thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me on here today. And my name's Lucy, and I'm based in East Sussex, in a little village near Heathfield, and I work in a purpose-built garden room right at the very bottom of my garden, so it's a very peaceful space. And what I do is I support and help women find the balance or realign to the balance in their lives, both emotionally and physically, particularly in situations such as when ladies are facing the menopause or children fly in the nest, which is something that's just about to happen to me actually, so I do know all about the emotions surrounding that. Then there could be looking after elderly or sick parents, uh, relationship breakups, and sometimes people can be facing serious illness. So these are all things that can really knock us off balance. And as you know yourself, Sarah, that if you're in balance, then you're in a much better place to deal with whatever life throws at you.
Mhm.
That's me, really.
That's so cool, and it's so lovely to hear your clarity behind it. Really lovely. Um, so as far as my memory serves me, we first connected back in 2014.
Yes, that's
And
right.
at that time, you weren't in a bad place, but you weren't anything like as clear as you are now. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So if as much as you can, because I know it's sometimes difficult to say how flower essences have changed us, but sometimes when we look at where we were and where we are now, it shows us the pathway. So tell us a little bit what your life was like around 2014 before you committed to taking essences in a long-term way.
Yes, well, so that's an interesting one. Around that time, on the surface, then I looked very together. I was bringing up my children, my long-awaited children, um, and everything looked okay. But really, underneath there, I was hiding quite a lot of things that I wasn't even totally aware of, because I was very good at just when things happened, I could put it into a compartment and sort of bury it and get on with things and show to the world that I was fine, I was coping fine. But there was a lot of pain and shock actually from the years when I was trying to have children and it wasn't happening, and I had an ectopic pregnancy and several IVFs. And then more recently to that, just before I started the diploma, we'd got all settled and we had a major upheaval because we had to sell our house. The business was having difficulties and that was our only option, so we had to uproot, and it was quite traumatic for everyone and for the children. And so I was just holding it all together, pretending to everybody we were doing this because we wanted to change, and that took an enormous toll.
Mm.
And once the sort of dust had settled a bit, I was sort of thinking about what I was going to do as the children got older. So I was presenting myself as being very together, but actually underneath I had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of emotions that need to be addressed.
Yeah. So yeah, I hear that totally, and I have some memories of supporting you at that time when the essences started to kick in, and you started to realize and remember exactly what it was happening. But I think it's quite common, isn't it, in today's world that, you know, life is very overwhelming and it's not the way we've been brought up. We've been brought up to kind of get on with things, and, you know, confident, capable women often do things like that. So what parts of you were not being fed? What parts of you were not being nourished at that time?
Um, I don't know really. I think I was just sort of coping and just getting on with things. I needed to release it, I guess. But I felt that I couldn't talk to people because I felt like I was a failure. And also there was this thing which I think is quite common for women, that when they have children, if they feel that they're not coping with everything, they feel that they're not being a good mother, or their children might be taken away from them. I know it's extreme, but I know in the early days when I probably did have a little bit of postnatal depression as well. So there's all these things I sort of kept stuffing in. So I just needed to release some of it, to get some clarity, because there was so much backed up, I didn't really know where I was going. So I thought that all I wanted to do was have the children, but then I realised there was more as well.
So it's kind of what I'm hearing is about sense of self. You know,
yeah, absolutely. I think yes, that's absolutely it. I'd lost my sense of self, because I was starting to lose my confidence with the children. I was starting to hide behind the children and lose my sense of self,
which is kind of normal, and it's okay. That part of it is just needing to know. It's not needing to know, it's needing to acknowledge it. So at that time, you said that you were together and coping to the outside world. You know, there wasn't anything very terrible or untoward going on. It's just there wasn't an alignment in there with you. So were you taking essences at the time to support yourself?
No, I wasn't taking them for myself at all. Again, I just sort of recently discovered them for my children. So I was giving them to the children, and but still I hadn't even thought about taking them for myself. I was in such denial that I was always looking after other people and not myself. That was my big. So it's when I don't even really know exactly how I found my way to you, how I even thought about doing the Essence Diploma. You could say it was just divinely guided, because I was there, and I that's when I discovered essences for myself.
Trees and flowers often they do. That's exactly how it works, and I know I'm laughing as I say it, but it is how it works. Yeah. So what do you think needed to how did the flowers, the essences, let's put it that way, how did the essences help you start to release some of this? How did they kick in and help you?
Well, right from the beginning, actually, I can remember the first module, and because I hadn't taken them before, I think it was quite, and I was working with just one flower to start off with. It was quite a powerful clearing effect, actually. So I could feel, a lot of things that had been buried for many, many years started to come to the surface, but not in a horrible way. I could just acknowledge them and then let them go. So I did feel a massive clearing in that first month. And then each month I was working on different layers. The way that the modules were structured, it seemed to work in a different layer on different levels and parts of the emotions that we go through. So yes, it was a massive clearing.
Mm-hmm. So as you say, feels like quite a scary word, doesn't it? But as you say, it was a gentle clearing.
No, it wasn't scary at all, actually. And because doing I was very supported, not just by yourself, but with all of the girls that were on the diploma, through the sort of fortnightly meetings that we had online and through the forum. So I was always supported, and you can talk about any things that are coming up. Just like if you're seeing a practitioner, anything that comes up, then you're always supported through it. So it wasn't scary at all. It was just nice to acknowledge these things that have been put away, and not being embarrassed about sort of saying things or feeling that you're a failure because you thought certain things or felt certain things. So yes, it was just lovely to have that support.
It's about that, isn't it? Because essences and vibrational medicine, in essence, does bring these feelings to the surface. So it's good to have a place where we can actually express those. And you did that, so that's really cool. So let's fast forward about 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
I can't believe it's that long, but it is. How cool is that? So what does your life, and obviously your business now, your healing business, which you shared with us at the beginning, look like now? What's the shift?
Well, I mean, it has been, for me, I think it's been an absolutely massive shift, because for a start, I never would have thought that I would be sitting here talking to you online and going out there, because I was very afraid of being seen. So I was very hidden away. Any sort of gifts or talents that I might have had, I really didn't think that I was ever good enough or could ever be good enough. So working with the essences myself has helped me with that, and it continues to evolve. I've started a women's group, a monthly women's group, where we start on or around the new moon and set intentions, and also I've started doing workshops. So it's and I've got lots of other plans for the future. So it's just going to keep evolving, really, as well as my one-to-one clients.
Mm. So
yeah.
the sense of self that you spoke about at the beginning, that was kind of hidden and, you know, not feeling supported, is, you know, I mean, looking at you now, you're not in that space at all now.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, it's you know, it is a complete shift.
And it takes a little bit of time as well to birth.
Yeah.
You know, we can feel different night to day,
Yeah.
or whether the way around, but it's progression, isn't it? It takes time for us to literally open our petals.
I think everybody's different. For me, I've been quite a slow burner, but I'm quite fast in certain things. But with this, I've just been going at my own pace, and everybody. And at times I thought, oh my gosh, everyone's racing ahead, but everyone goes at their own pace, and that's part of my learning, and that's what I can pass on to other people as well. That we all have our own. We all have our own time. We all have our time to sort of shine and bloom. So it's fine.
Absolutely it is. So what's the best bit about being you now and doing this as a mum, as a wife, as life, doing the work that you do? What's the best bit?
Well, it's just knowing that you have, I mean, the connection that I've always had a connection to the flowers and trees, but that's so much deeper now. But knowing that you have that there at your disposal, that they're always with you, you can, you know, we all, however much work we do, there are always going to be times when our energy gets lower, and you've got the flower essences with you, you can immediately shift it, and other tools that I've learned along the way. I mean, for example, I was at a mind, body, spirit weekend, and although you're in a situation where there's lots of healers and people like that, the energies can get very strong in places like that, and you can also take on other people's energy. So knowing that you've got your essences, you can instantly go in, take some essences, and that lifts. So it's not in other people's reactions to them, and also what I found doing the workshops as well, when people have aha moments, when they learn how to intuitively work with the flower essences and see in their faces, that's lovely. That gives me a lot of joy.
Yeah, lovely that you're passing it on in that very intuitive sense. It's coming out of our heads into our hearts is good. So may I ask you, what was your favourite part of the diploma, if you had to?
God. That's such a hard question, because there's so much of it. When I first started the diploma, I wasn't sure, because it was online, and I am very much a face-to-face people person, so I was a little bit worried about that. But quite quickly I realised that it's hard to explain, but it's not. It doesn't feel like you are at all, because every 2 weeks, I don't know if you do it exactly the same, because it was a few years ago when I did mine, but every 2 weeks you're meeting up online, so you're physically seeing people, or face, you know, online you are. And then every month you have a webinar, and then of course there's the weekends, which were amazing. I loved the weekends, and I could still, I mean, that was when you were still in Kent, in the yurt, and I can remember my first weekend, and I was sitting in that yurt in the circle, and that's the first time I'd done circle work, and I had a real amazing sense of like I found my tribe, that feeling accepted. That was really, and that will always stay with me, that just whoosh of, oh wow, I feel so safe and held in this circle. That was lovely.
Wow.
But also, it was quite a moment, but also the way you work through the modules, it gives you a sense of self-awareness, So it's different. The way you structure it's different than just sort of reading stuff and then regurgitating it in your own words. This is more coming from the heart and what you've picked up. So I really like that. I was quite surprised how things flowed through me. And then self-reflection as well, because that's really important. Learning about that. So it was a massive self-awareness exercise for me. So that's, yeah. So, and also, obviously, all the friends that you make on that, lifelong friends, you get very close to people because you share so much of yourselves.
Flower
So
friend.
that's special. Yeah.
It is, absolutely it is. Yeah. So as we come to a close now of our chat, anyone that's listening, watching, what words of wisdom do you have for them as regards starting their own, taking flower essences? If people are interested in the diploma, that's great, but I want it to be wider than that.
Yeah.
Not about coming on my diploma, although that would be fab, but just, taking essences generally. What's your words of wisdom?
Well, just do it. Just intuitively, just pick the bottles that appeal to you, or get some cards, or just even look at the trees or flowers that you're drawn to, and then just do a little search and find out where you can buy the essences of those flowers. If you're drawn to them, then you need them on some level. They can help you on some level. But I think that it's just get out there and do it. Try it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Cool, Lucy. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Thank you for your boldness in doing that, because you shared a little bit more with the wider world for you today. And thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing now. It's a real pleasure and opens my heart to see you doing that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.